Good day, everyone. So today we'll be talking about carrier recombination and generation. So carrier generation and recombination are essentially two sides of the same coin. Hopefully, tama yung sinasabi ko. But hopefully my expression is correct. But in the same case, it's just the reverse processes of each other, generation and recombination. So for carrier generation, what happens is the semiconductor would absorb energy, and this will then promote or create excess charge carriers in our semiconductor. So take for example, we absorb this energy here. This is E. Upon the absorption of this energy, we can promote then an electron from the valence band onto our conduction band. So in this case, inabsorb ni semiconductor yung energy, leading to the promotion of an electron from here to here. This generates an electron and a hole. Electron in the conduction band, hole in the valence band. This is our electron hole pair, EHP. So ito, dito nakapag-generate tayo ng ating charge carriers. We generated an electron, we generated a hole. Meanwhile, sa recombination naman, when we have recombination, what happens now is that your electron will then be trapped, or ang nangyayari is we are removing a free charge carrier from our system. So the most important example of this is the recombination of our electron here. So it might go down. So it will go down in energy with a hole here. So pag nangyari yan, ang mangyayari is if these two would combine, babalik si electron sa valence band, essentially, mawawala itong electron and hole pair natin since they're combined na. So nawala yung free electron, yung hole mo dito, napulaan siya ng electron, so nawalan rin yung hole dyan. And upon doing that, since may bumaba tayo ng electron from a higher to lower energy, what would happen is we will then release energy. So first, let's tackle carrier generation. So hopefully, clear na sa inyo yung carrier generation recombination. So for carrier generation, excess carriers can exist in our semiconductor when it's not in its equilibrium state. Excess carriers can be produced as a result of the addition of excess energy into our semiconductor. So the forms of energy that is possible but not limited to these forms of energy, pwede tayo is phonons. So this is heat. You have photons. Photons is light. So mula dito, this is how actually we generate electricity from photovoltaic cells. May kinalaman sa charge carrier generation using the photons. And we can also have yung electric field natin. So this is what happens when we apply kuryente or electricity into our devices. When we apply voltage, we're actually injecting electrons into our semiconductor. So the forms energy, this one, or the forms of injection of charge carriers that we can produce, can be classified into essentially two types. We have yung ating thermal generation. So thermal generation natin, this is because of heat. From the name thermal, heat siya. This exists under both equilibrium and non-equilibrium conditions and is denoted by GDT. So this thermal generation is basically just by the absorption of our semiconductor by this kind of energy, yung ating KBT or yung thermal energy natin. So dito galing yung thermal generation mo. Meanwhile, yung generation resulting from external forces, the second type, from external factors, While the generation from external factors are because of stimuli other than heat. So, not heat. So this might be light, this might be electric field, this might be other things. So meron din tayong mga chemical and so on. This process only occurs under non-equilibrium conditions, and we can denote this by G, walang subscript, and this is your excess generation rate. So these factors, G, T, T, and G, this just tells us how fast electrons are being injected into our system. Now that we have tackled carrier generation, now let's go to recombination. Carrier recombination naman, again, this is the release of energy due to the recombination of your electron and your hole. And in the carrier recombination mechanisms, there are very, very many. Actually, sobrang dami niya. But in our case, we'll only be discussing these four. Where is that? These four. So you have direct band-to-band, Shockley Reed Hall, Auger Band-to-Band, and surface recombination. Again, other than these four, meron pa tayong marami pang ibang carrier recombination mechanisms. But if we go through all of them, it will frankly take a long time. And some of them are not important to us in the moment. So what's important is well, basically all of these recombination process nag-release tayo ng energy, and this results in the reduction of free charge carriers in our system. So yan. So nakita natin, opposite lang siya nitong carrier generation. So first we have direct band-to-band. So let's zoom in. Zoom in. Shoop, shoop, shoop. Yan. So when we have direct band-to-band recombination, so let's use a different color. If you have a direct band-to-band recombination mechanism, an electron from the conduction band recombines with the hole in the valence band, as in this figure. This one. So this is K and E. So an electron from the conduction band, dito, recombines with a hole in the valence band. And as we can see here, direct siya. So this has something to do with yung K vector natin, or the wave number. In this recombination mechanism, this recombination usually happens in the same K, different energies. So electron and hole, same K, different energy sila. And if ito yung nangyari, makita natin that we will actually release HV, or this is your photon. We call this release of this photon here as your radiative recombination. And yung direct band-to-band recombination natin, usually nangyayari yan between the bottom of the conduction band and the top of the valence band. And because of this makes it more likely, the direct band-to-band recombination, to occur in direct band gap semiconductors. Since there is very little change in the K, momentum needed from dropping from a higher to a lower energy level when we're releasing a photon. So remember, yung sa EK diagram ng photon natin, when superimpose natin ito sa band diagram, it would actually look just like a vertical line na ganyan. So in this case, yung momentum change natin, very, very small, it's imperceptible here, to go down to release your photon. So direct band-to-band recombination, again, it releases a photon, which makes it more likely to happen in direct gap semiconductors. And this is actually one of the reasons why solar cells are usually direct gap semiconductors, because direct band-to-band recombination ang kailangan natin. Tama, solar cells and LEDs, usually direct band-to-band yan. It has something to do with this, yung direct band-to-band recombination natin. Kasi ito yung kailangan mo para mag-absorb and mag-release ng ating photon. Next, we have your Shockley-Reed-Hall recombination. This is also known as your SRH recombination. Shockley-Reed-Hall recombination happens when there are defects or impurities in your system, which is always the case, except for some very special materials. Remember, there is no material is 100% pure. All have imperfections. Yung surface natin, imperfection agad yan. So, due to these defects or impurities in our structure, what we see is in between your conduction band and your valence band, and conduction band, there will actually be trap energy levels that might arise. So, this is similar to how we do, but this one's Shockley-Reed-Hall recombination, not necessarily na ginusto natin to. Though, pwede natin siya i-force by doping, but defects and impurities can also produce these defect levels, or what we call the trap levels. Trap levels, or ET. These defect or impurity levels, this one, this allows the two-step recombination of our electron in the conduction band with a valence band hole. In the Shockley-Reed-Hall recombination, energy is released and given to the crystal lattice in the form of phonons, since the traps can absorb differences in the momentum between our carriers. Yung SRH mo, so it would look something like this. So you have electron here, you have a hole here, and so on. So sa SRH recombination mo, this is usually the dominant recombination process in silicon and other indirect bandgap materials, since hindi sila nakapag-access ng direct band-to-band recombination natin. And to exchange or to, diba sa indirect bandgap natin, ganito siya. Ito, let's say, ito yung valence band, and you have your conduction band here. Hindi sila same ng K value. Their K is not the same. So, para karoon tayo ng ating conservation of energy and momentum, yung trap levels natin dito, this would facilitate yung ating change. So, pwedeng pa ganyan siya or nandito. This would facilitate the recombination of our electrons with the holes by releasing phonons. So, dito nag-release tayo ng phonons. Since yung phonons natin, meron niyang omega, H bar omega, energy. And meron din tayong different K values for our phonons that we can take advantage to complete the recombination between an electron in the conduction band and a hole in the valence band. So in SRH recombination, there are actually 4 different processes that are possible to happen. So let me make eyes this. So these 4 processes are aided by our trap level. We have yung ating RC. So this one is the pagbaba ni electron pupunta sa trap level. We have GC. GC is yung pag-akyat ni electron from the trap level to the conduction band. We also have yung RV natin. Pagbaba ni electron from the trap level to the valence band. And we have your GV. Yung sa GV mo, you have your increase from the hole, your increase of the electron from the valence band to the trap level. So itong processes na to, they all happen competitively, and these all would contribute to essentially letting the hole and the electron meet up para magkaroon tayo ng recombination. So some notes about this, we can see that this process and this process are inverses. Parang ito lang, itong this one and this one. These are inverse processes. Yung recombination of electrons natin, so these are different processes, RC, GC, RV, and GV. The recombination of electrons or holes is enhanced if the trap level by the trap level if the probability of RC and RV is greater than GC and GV, or essentially mas probable na bumaba si electron than umakyat in energy level. And if the probability of these processes, itong dalawang process na to, happening is greater than this one, then the trap level, this trap level, serves as our electron recombination center. Electron recombination center, or ito yung tatawag na electron trap. So this is if these two processes dominate. While if these two processes dominate, itong dalawang to, meron naman tayong whole recombination center, or we have your whole trap. So what basically sinasabi nito is titignan lang natin kung ano yung mas likely na mag-recombine, if electrons ba or holes siya. But I think the most important thing about the Shockley-Reed-Hall or the SRH recombination mechanism is that we understand that this is aided by our trap levels due to impurities and defects, and that this usually releases phonons into our system. So this releases phonons, or these phonons are related to heat. This basically releases heat into our semiconductor. Another recombination mechanism that we have is your Auger band-to-band recombination. In the Auger band-to-band recombination, the energy that is released when an electron recombines with a hole is then transferred to a third particle called your Auger electron or Auger hole. The energy released by the third particle is then subsequently released in the form of a heat or photon. The Auger recombination natin is an extrinsic non-radiative mechanism more effective at higher temperatures and for smaller bandgap semiconductors. So this is similar, or actually this is the mechanism of your Auger electron spectroscopy. Basically, yung generation ng Auger electrons natin, or Auger holes, mga ganyan. So same concept here. If you know how that works, you know how this one works. So let's look at one possible Auger band-to-band recombination. So we have, let's draw the ating diagram. We have this. This one, meron lang pareho sila. And yung split off hole natin. That one. So this is your conduction band, and this is your valence band. So the Auger band-to-band mechanisms, there are different Auger band-to-band mechanisms na possible. Depende kung what type of Auger carrier is produced during your recombination. So we have CHCC, CHLH, and CHSH. So for this one, all of those three recombination mechanisms, they start with the recombination of an electron. Combination of this electron. So let's say, lagyan natin siya dito. Electron with a hole in your heavy hole band. As so. So the recombination of this one and this one, from recombination, alam natin, this will release energy. Yan. Energy is released. Due to this energy, there are three different processes that may occur. So yung energy na yan, i-absorb uli yan ni ating semiconductor, and three possible processes occur. One possible process is that we can have the promotion of an electron in the conduction band to a higher energy level. As so. So, itong process na to, this is your CHCC process. Conduction band to heavy hole recombination produces conduction band electron to a higher conduction band position, CHCC. Another possible recombination natin, or generation natin due to this energy is that this energy will be absorbed, and this would cause the promotion of an electron, an electron from the light hole band to the heavy hole band, or we can also look at it as the demotion of a hole from the heavy hole band to the light hole band. In this case, itong generation na to, or itong Auger recombination na to, this is your CH-LH recombination. So the recombination of a conduction band electron and a heavy hole produces energy which is then absorbed by an electron in the light hole band that promotes it to the heavy hole band, CH-LH. And the last possible recombination mechanism for the Auger band-to-band recombination is when your energy is absorbed by an electron in the split off band and is now promoted into our heavy hole band. So this one naman is your CH-SH recombination. In all of these three cases, the total energy and momentum of our system is conserved. So basically, yung energy and momentum released, or the energy and momentum change in the system due to the recombination of the initial conduction band electron and the heavy hole band hole is then used to produce itong ating generation, or yung pag-increase ng energy ng mga electrons natin dito, dito, and dito. So again, sa Auger band-to-band recombination, ang important natin makita dito is that the combination of conduction band electron plus heavy hole would produce energy that then will be used to promote electrons to a higher energy level. And lastly, we have surface recombination. So nakita nyo, maliit lang space ng surface recombination. Kasi this is just the recombination of your energy. This surface recombination, this is just similar to your SRH recombinations, but instead of internal defects, yung ating trap level dito is caused by the surface. So similar lang siya dito. An energy level would be produced due to your surface discontinuity. This is just your surface recombination. So we call yung trap level natin dyan as your surface traps. And with that, I end this video. Hopefully, hindi pa kayo patay sa dami ng information overload, and hope you all are having a wonderful day today. So thank you, and I'll see you soon.